Welcome back. All right, so some news of the day for all you fine people for your Tuesday, March 8th. So yeah, March 8th. All right, Jared McCann signs a 5-year deal with the Seattle Kraken to stick around for $25 million in total, $5 million per season. McCann has set career highs already this year for goals. I think he's close in points if he hasn't already got there for points. Honestly, McCann's playing his best hockey in Seattle, so it makes total sense that they'd want to keep him around and he'd want to stay. Seattle's had a rough first season. There's no way around that. They've had a very rough first season, but he has been one of the bright spots. The work of Brandon Tanev, I think Adam Larson's been pretty good for them. I think Alexiak's had a decent season as well. There are some good bright spots for the Seattle Kraken, and we'll see as we get towards the trade deadline who sticks around. Of course, there's all kinds of Giordano rumors about what's going to happen and where he might end up. I was looking through some of those this morning. There isn't really a whole lot there in terms of actual substance, so my reporting on that remains sparse at best because, again, there's just not a lot of substance there. But for McCann, he's sticking around with Seattle. I think that's a good move. Jacob Vrana will return tonight for the Detroit Red Wings. So he was practicing with them yesterday. It was pretty obvious he was coming back, but they've made it official this morning. And so we'll see what that does for Detroit. A team that could use an infusion of talent right now. They've been 4-6 over their last 10. Bad news for Antoine Roussell, a player who might have been moved at the deadline. It's possible. Roussell's played relatively well for the Arizona Coyotes. Honestly, both Roussell and Eriksson, I think, have played better for Arizona this year than they played for Vancouver last year. Obviously, that's true of Travis Boyd as well. Roussell, though, out 6 weeks with a lower body injury. Considering that the trade deadline's in less than 2 weeks, I would think that rules him out as a trade target for anybody, unless it's a team over the cap, right? If it's a team over the cap, you can throw them on LTIR and go, all right, so we'll worry about that later. But I don't think Roussell moves now. It's $3 million cap hit for him. I mean, obviously Arizona could eat some of that, and they might have at the deadline, but I think this injury probably nixes any plans they might have had to trade him. NHL announcing yesterday that they are suspending their relationship with the KHL. The KHL itself, there's some discussions about what its status is going to be next season and what it might look like. All of that wonderful stuff. So basically what this means is that NHL teams won't be dealing with players who are under any kind of contract to the KHL. Once they're unrestricted free agents, sure. But transfer agreements have been suspended at this point between the KHL and the NHL. Also, KHL news, HC Spartak Moscow has actually released Jake Virtanen. And from what I can see, I can't see what he did or what happened, but they're saying he violated the terms of his contract, and so he's been released. That's it for Virtanen. Then with the KHL, you would think. I don't think another KHL team necessarily signs him, and so he is a free agent. Now, he does have a court date coming up tomorrow, so I don't know that the court case has anything to do with it. I don't think so. But because at the time that they signed him, they knew that was on its way. But yeah, so he's been released. We'll see if anything else comes out about that. Of course, there's other players who've left the KHL based on global events, what's going on. They've left the KHL. And so, again, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with the KHL moving forward and what that league ends up looking like for next season. For Toronto, Jake Muzzin on the ice for an optional skate. There's no timeline for return. He's saying he's feeling good. Feeling good doesn't necessarily mean, hey, I feel great and I'm ready to return. But that's a good thing for Muzzin, who, again, with his history of injury, it's nice to see him back on the ice and trending in the right direction. So without that timeline of when, Toronto still needs a defenseman. If Muzzin was playing tomorrow, Muzzin, they still need a defenseman. So Toronto, I would think, will be all in at the deadline trying to shore up their defense. And we'll see what the price is for defensemen at the trade deadline, which is 13 days off. I also saw, and I want to mention this too. Apparently, there was a lot of talk about whether or not Nashville might move Forsberg. I can't see it. I really can't. I know he's a pending unrestricted free agent, but right now they're in a playoff spot. I think there's the optics, right? Of, all right, well, we moved Phillip, so let's just do our best, and it sends the message that you're kind of not giving up, but you're maybe kneecapping the team at a bad time of the year to do so. So between now and the deadline, they play at home against Dallas, Anaheim, St. Louis. Those are all teams they're directly competing with, right? They're within a few points of all those teams. Then they're at Minnesota, competing with Minnesota as well. Then they're home against Pittsburgh. They go to Philly, and then they're at home against Toronto on the 19th. That is the last game they have before the 21st. So I would think if they somehow played really badly, and they've won 4 of their last 10, but if they played really badly with all of the games against teams that they're competing for a playoff spot with, and I'm talking like mostly regulation losses against Dallas, Anaheim, St. Louis, Minnesota, that would drop them below the playoff line for sure, and might leave them in a position where they'd consider selling a little bit, but I don't see teams being willing to sell when they're that close to the playoffs. I think that's complicated things in Vancouver. I think it's complicated things in various locations where otherwise you might be ready to do a full-on sell. Anaheim's a good example where they're probably not fully done with the rebuild anyways, but you're close to the playoffs, so why not go for it? So we'll see what happens. It's been pretty quiet, though, and it does feel like when I'm reading through, whether it's on ESPN, TSN, Sportsnet, wherever I'm reading up on what might be happening with the trade deadline, it's been quiet. It feels like it's quieter than normal, and we'll see if things heat up. I mean, we know we're going to get trades on trade deadline day anyways, and of course, for people who may be newer subscribers, we always have a live stream on trade deadline day, and then I do videos talking about who got traded where and for what. So that'll definitely happen this year as well, and of course we have the live stream for the draft and for the draft lottery. But yeah, the trade deadline this year could be really crazy. Maybe we're not going to see trades until the actual deadline day. It feels like we should start seeing them soon, but it hasn't happened yet. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Maybe we'll just see more and more waiver wire guys. DeKaiser was put on waivers by the Wings yesterday. I don't think anybody takes his contract, but why not? And yeah, so we'll see where all of this ends up. But yeah, I'll be here to report on it when it does or when it doesn't. If there's nothing that happens, that's fine too. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.